it's funny, but I mean, I had the simple idea of, well, can we take a can and fold it and stuff? And actually, I wanted. It's funny. I was like, what happens if you take a round saucer, a round disc of metal, and you take a piston and push on it? They said, well, it makes a cup. And so, because they tried it, they're like, well, let's find out. They used a piston or a screw jack or something, and they made a cup. And I was turning out cups, metal cups or something like that. I mean, I had glass too, but I think I had glass. Yeah, I had glass. But they were turning out little metal cups about yay big, but they would get rusty and stuff, and so they didn't last very long. We really needed to make the type get the what's called stainless steel. Which is another thing I made, is because I had stainless steel, so I was making little stainless steel cups for all my soldiers and stuff, so they could not get, so they could drink out of them. Actually, my first one was the stainless steel forks for my British officers. Like I said, I like to spoil my officers a lot. I was like, ooh, we have stainless steel. Yes, we have to conclude these. So every officer got a stainless steel fork or something like that, or a silver fork. I think, yeah, it's silver. The first thing I think I had was silver forks for my high-ranking military people in the fields, or something. So they could. Everyone else got like wooden or something else. I don't know. A lot of wood spoons. Anyway, another soldier would say a lot of wood spoons, but but people often the the can. Like I say, Germany had canned food, a lot of canned food. Although I'm really thinking that Germany didn't quite have pasteurization, because there were a lot of cans that, or America didn't have pasteurization. I was one of the people, and the air gap. There later on, I said, well, I think it's because there was air in there. I was like, maybe it's the air. And someone from Germany had said it's the air in the can. That's the problem. And I was like, oh, so we can't have any air. And later on, I was like, maybe it's the air in the can, because like some great German scientist or somebody else or somebody said had suggested it. So I made sure that suggestion was made, that there couldn't be any air in the can and it had to be sealed. I was like, maybe squash out the fluid or something like that. I wasn't exactly sure. Like I say, I mean, my experience as going through, I mean, you're talking about 250 years. I mean, thousands of decisions, millions of orders. Like I say, I had to do it in like 3 or 4 parts or 5 parts, where it's like, okay, okay, oh, we'll get through this eventually. Where because I died as Lucifer, somebody strapped me to a nuclear bomb and went vaporized. I was like, I didn't even see the light. That was it. It's gone. Yeah, so it's really weird. Anyway, though, but my life as Brian, whereas because I was inventor of flight and everything else, made some very weird things happen. Like I said, I was artificial intelligence and blah 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 and everything else, but that was before. Then they killed me there, and and I died. And then somebody found me. Oh yeah, we put you back. So so then it's like going through inventing pumps, inventing, and then do, never-ending list of things to go over to be the real Lucifer. Oh, what a headache! And then I'm losing money on toys and like managing civilization, managing everything. It's like even after I could get, because the markets had to be safe. Nobody would come to the market if you're just going to die or get stolen or get killed. And there were groups of people running through markets, grabbing everything they could possibly grab. There's no way to have civilization that way. So I had to get soldiers at the markets, making people safe, making people so they come to the markets. I mean, getting that once I got that first little civilization going, then everything was like easier. But getting that first little bits going and stuff, it was and then like I say later on, I mean, the biggest thing about civilization is the food. We had to have food that lasted longer than 6 months. We had to have food that lasted years. I mean, canned food was, I mean, I didn't really realize it at the time. I was just like, well, let's try making some cans. And then, whoa, okay, that worked. you know, um, but back in time and space, it's like, it's a totally different thing. Like I say, it's almost like having two-phase life, where I do it one way and I die, get killed actually by a nuclear bomb. And, yeah, you get vaporized. Oh, yay. There wasn't anything left of you. There wasn't? Nope. Not even a DNA sample. It's like, well, that does suck, doesn't it? Oh, well. So, I feel better. So anyway, and then I like I say, everything tank war, and then I was starting to lose the tank war, and then the invention of aircraft. Because I couldn't invent aircraft, so it's like, well, whatever you can invent yourself, we can use. So I was like, well, that's a lot. I mean, because I did. And besides, everyone loved me. Like I say, everyone loved me. My hot water, good, safe, clean. Like I said, if you look back in time, there's like these big towers, and I was doing a filter experiment to see the percolation value of soils, and like if you dump dirty water in the top, what comes out the bottom? And even sewage. Can you can you clean sewage? And stuff like that. Like I was doing all these weird experiments. It's like, well, let's try doing this. I was rich. At that point in time, I was massively wealthy. Whatever you want, sir, we'll do it. It's like, that is mighty nice, isn't it? So, I mean, I had 36 mines. I had 2 or 3 countries. It's like, well, whatever you want, we'll do. We'll build it. And it's like, oh, well, okay. Let's play around with filtration, And so great big tower, and then a whole bunch of dirt and filtration, and then it's like, well, let's try and build a water pump, electrical water pump. We know magnetism and blah blah blah, so let's try and build that. And just never-ending list of things to build. Just like, oh, let's try and build this. Oh, let's try and build that. Oh, let's try and build this. And like the first one is like, well, costs as much as a small country, but hey, we did it. It's like, well, the next one will be cheaper, I hope. So that's why those pumps in Britain are so amazing. And like I say, I was just the theory behind it. Like those, and besides, another missing thing is all the people in Egypt and all the people in what's called, they were hand metal. Wire was beaten. Copper wire was. I had like 1,000 people. Or 2,000 people, and that's one thing I don't want to get lost. I had 1,000 people out in the middle of the desert pounding metal, pounding wire, copper wire or gold wire. They messed around with gold wire. I think gold wire was easier to get than copper wire, so they were pounding it just to start doing this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, let's get this theory down, and then after we do that, then we'll try and build it mass production. But the first ones are going to all be by hand. So, 1,000 people who believed or were just being paid or whatever, pounding wire into little wire and then wrapping cloth around the wire. Thousands of feet of that. I mean, like I say, those people of Israel and those people in the desert, what's called the 10 people and everything else, they put out for civilization. They, I mean, it's lost to time and space, and it's really frustrating because they worked hard. They pounded that metal, and so just so I could show off my civilization. Like, people had to see it before they would believe in it, before they would try and do it. So the first wire, the first civilization, the first stuff was all by hand and all insanely expensive, and no one got paid enough. And there wasn't even always enough food. Like it was a nightmare. But once it got going, then we could really do things, and people had to really believe. But like I said, towards the end, I was getting a lot of help, so it was a lot easier. The first The start was the most nightmare, which is basically like just trying to keep people off from killing people.